10, Colleen Ballinger. Let's get a YouTuber out of the way and then we'll get on to the good stuff. So former YouTuber Colleen Ballinger was accused by several of her young fans as being a creepy creepo who just wanted to be their friend. Colleen is best known for her character Miranda Sings on YouTube, who became so popular that she got her own Netflix series. If you want to watch it, you'll need a VPN and you'll probably have to be in a very different country. She was basically messaging her fans to deliver so-called advice when she was really trying to just manipulate them into being minions and not the little yellow guys that we, are annoyed by. There was a massive amount of proof in the pudding. Fans had screenshots of conversations, with one fan even claiming that she sent him lingerie as a joke because, lace is hilarious. Following instant backlash from the world, Colleen decided to post an apology video online where she apologized while playing a ukulele. After this woman was shown being weird to kids, she was like, yes, let's go online and sing about it. In response to one of the cringiest apology videos of all time, her fans resurfaced a video that should have gotten her canceled a long time ago. A few years ago, she decided it would be an awesome idea during her live shows to sing and dance to Beyonce's Single Lady while painted black. Yeah, there is just a rough clip of Colleen barefooted on stage, flailing and waving about, and no one at that show thought that it was weird. The world's fantastic. She tried to make a comeback a couple of months ago, but failed miserably and is currently hiding in her home, steering clear of anyone who might recognize this terrible woman. Number 9, Ezra Miller. Ezra has been on the acting scene since 2008, appearing in movies like After School and Perks of Being a Wallflower, and they seemed like a normal person until around 2019, when cast and crew started noticing odd behavior from the actor on the set of The Flash. Their attitude shifted from happy to be here to, hey, I'm better than you guys, deal with it. They would often wear capes and robes to set that just weren't part of their costume, and reportedly were filled with scattered thoughts and motivations during filming and off-screen. In 2020, a video surfaced of Miller in a violent altercation outside of a bar in Iceland, which would be the first of many videos that proved that Ezra's a little funny. Eventually, this led to Miller breaking and entering into someone's house in Hawaii, and I guess they were just chilly and couldn't find a blanket. I'm not sure what the motivation was there. Miller went on to run from Hawaiian authorities for over a week, supposedly squatting in abandoned buildings and sleeping on the beach, and they were eventually caught and charged with breaking and entering as well as aggravated swatting, as Miller had apparently gotten into a fist fight before breaking into the house. So hey, two birds, one stone. The Flash was released into theaters and it did okay, but it's looking like it's going to be the last time we see Miller on screen anytime soon. Number 8, James Franco. James placed himself in a bubble of public exile when he used his powers as a Hollywood superstar for evil. The man behind iconic characters like Tommy Wiseau, Harry Osborn, so many more, seemed to be on his way to a long, successful career following collaborations with his longtime friend Seth Rogen especially, as well as his turn in more serious roles like in True Story with Jonah Hill. Apparently though, James has a problem keeping his hands to himself, especially when it comes to his acting students, the female ones at least. In 2018, 5 female students at the Studio 4 acting school in North Hollywood told Los Angeles Times that Franco had used his position to exploit them physically. 2 of those women sued Franco, and he was forced to settle outside of court and pay them $2.23 million. And at the time that he was writing and acting and directing for a show called The Deuce on HBO, which was of course allowed to stay on because it was already being cancelled anyway, so nobody cared. Not only did fans ask for everything he was in to be cancelled, like the series, movies, everything, but the public outcry actually forced Seth Rogen to drop his longtime friend, and he told the Times of London that the scandal changed their relationship and he had no plans to collaborate with James anytime in the near future. Not sure if you've noticed, he hasn't been in any movie trailers recently. Number 7, Russell Brand. Russell is a rough man, okay, even before the controversy surrounding his, misdeeds came up this year. This man has been unwelcomed at royal events, awards shows, birthday parties, anything and everything. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm really sorry to be the one to tell you, but Russell Brand is a terrible person. The man, best known as a comedian, a bringer of joy, has secretly been manipulative, aggressive, and at times violent according to his ex-partners. Following the news that there was going to be a documentary about his life and career on BBC Channel 4, several complaints were filed alleging that Russell had mistreated them during their relationships. The allegations were actually reinforced by Russell's ex Katy Perry, who they dated for quite some time. They got engaged, I'm pretty sure they got married, and in that time she came to learn that Russell was short-tempered, opinionated, and stubborn, qualities that just do not make for a good partner. Russell's career was cancelled and he's currently awaiting trial, so rightfully so. Number 6, Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors is currently the man behind the purple cape of Kang in the MCU, but unfortunately for Majors, an ex has come forward and alleged that he was physically violent towards her while they were together. Since March of this year, Majors and his team have been adamant that the situation has been blown out of proportions, that there's really nothing to be upset about. In fact, in June, Majors filed his own cross-complaint accusing his accuser. Prosecutors refused these claims and told him that there were no plans to prosecute Grace Jabari, who was the woman who accused him. Majors was dropped from his agency, and so far his role on TV and film is pretty up in the air. This is a spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Loki Season 2. The series ended with Kang no longer being He Who Remains, and it's actually pretty unclear about what's gonna happen next. There are rumors that his role will just be recasted, or that they will instead bring in the character Doctor Doom as the MCU's big bad. Either way, the trial is currently underway, with the information changing every other day. This dude's career is extremely up in the air, and who knows what's gonna happen next. Number 5. Jonah Hill. Jonah was once the funniest guy in town, shifting his efforts to the world of drama and creating a career that allowed him to be in both fields, funny and serious. Unfortunately for any fans of Jonah, some information came out this year that called his character into question. I want to remind everyone, these aren't my opinions on things, okay? These are just things that have happened in the world and are public knowledge, and this is what a lot of people are saying, okay? An ex-girlfriend of Jonah's posted screenshots from past conversations. The conversations ranged from Jonah asking her to tone down the photos she was posting on Instagram to asking her to not do her job. For those of you who don't know, his ex Sarah is a surfing instructor, and Jonah was asking her just not to surf with men while working, and that she wear more than a bikini while she did so. When Sarah released these screenshots, she underlined them, calling Jonah a narcissistic misogynist. And since the messages have been released, there has been a massive online debate as to where Jonah stands in the eyes of the public. Some people feel that canceling him entirely is just a bit much, and that compared to some other scandals from Hollywood, especially from this year alone, Jonah is relatively tame. But others want his name wiped from the face of the earth, never to be heard from again. Give and take, you know? So far, he hasn't been casted in any upcoming movies, he hasn't made any interview appearances, but he might honestly just be taking some time off to relax. Number 4. Chrissy Teigen. Chrissy canceled herself by being the meanest woman on the internet. In May of 2021, an individual by the name of Courtney Stodden, a pageant model and media personality, claimed that fellow model and media star Chrissy Teigen had publicly bullied them online for quite some time. Chrissy was accused of regularly tweeting that she wished Courtney would take a permanent dirt nap, or just straight up end herself. Apparently Chrissy harbored some kind of jealousy towards Courtney's success and decided to take it online instead of, not publicizing her personal issues. Chrissy quickly apologized for the tweets and DMs, which were sent as recently as 2019. In one of her last posts, she tweeted, "I'm sad and mortified at who I used to be. I was an insecure, attention-seeking troll. I am ashamed and completely embarrassed at my behavior, but it's nothing compared to how I made Courtney feel." Chrissy then decided to delete her social medias following a slew of backlash for her actions, eventually leading to her being fired from or leaving any job that she had, both on and off the screen. So next time, just keep your jealousy balled up deep down inside you, like the rest of us do. Maybe you'd still have a career. Number 3. Gina Carano. Gina was slowly building a name for herself in the early 2010s as a woman to be feared on screen. She portrayed characters like Riley Hicks in Fast and Furious, and her most recent role was Cara Dune in Mandalorian, a series that decided to move on without her for the simple fact that she is a little bit misguided on her views towards the world. In 2021, Carano made a series of politically charged social media posts, the most damning of which came when she compared modern American political polarization to camps, Germany, in 1945. Those are different things. To throw a cherry on top of this trashy sundae, Gina also made her opinions on pronouns known, claiming that hers were beep boop beep. That's nice. Screw you, Gina! Those are mine. All of this combined eventually culminated in the hashtag #FireGinaCarano on Twitter, which began trending fast, forcing Disney as well as her management company to cut their ties. Needless to say, The Mandalorian is doing just fine without her, and the rest of Hollywood is glad that she is out of the picture for now. Number 2. James Corden. Talk shows are pretty simple. You get a few cameras together in a nice studio with a solid band and some furniture, and you got a show. However, most talk shows don't include extravagant bits like street performances and singing in a trailer car thingy. They may be able to put it together and make us believe that it's all good, but this stuff costs a lot of money for people to pay. Crew, cast, catering, and even Cordon himself, who apparently made $5 million a year on his program, The Late Late Show with James Corden. This is a lot considering that the show had a regular budget of $65 million a year, which is still huge, but has consistently only brought back $45 million in revenue. The only way the show could ever be able to stay on was if Cordon himself took $1 million loss and brutal staff reductions. So instead, he opted to just cancel his show entirely, which would be one thing if it was his show, but it was The Late Late Show. It's been around since 1995, first being hosted by Tom Tom Snyder. He took away something he didn't even create, and now instead of only some staff members having to lose their job, everybody lost their job, the show got canceled, and his career got canceled along with it. So far, he hasn't been asked to host any events, won any awards, and he hasn't been casted in any new Cat movies, thank God. Number 1, Kanye West. Hey look, it's canceled McGee! This is my favorite guy. When it comes to like the worst celebrities that ruined their careers, especially ones that are in hiding, it's Kanye West. Now I wrote a small poem a while back that I haven't gotten to say in a while. It's Dr. Seuss inspired, and it's just exactly what Kanye did to get canceled, and you'll get a little reminder, so I hope you enjoy it. Ye was a rapper who lived in LA. He decided to ruin his rep though one day. He typed and he clicked to his little heart's content. He said racist things. He needed to vent. He posted to Twitter to share all his woes. The world said no thank you, it's time that you go. He was canceled and soiled his semi-good name. He chose anger and hate over fortune and fame. His clothes all got burned and his wife left his home. No more sponsor, no more Kim. Kanye is alone. What's worse still, keeping Ye in the dumps? Well, his only friend was arrested. Poor Donald Trump. Boy, Justin Timberlake would have been considered to be one of the greatest pop music artists of all time. This man has appeared in movies, TV shows, and of course he sold out arenas around the world, both with NSYNC and by himself. But thanks to Britney's memoir, The Woman in Me, it's been revealed that Justin got Britney pregnant when they were together and convinced her to not have the baby to save their careers. Not long after, they split up for good. The decision is something that Britney says she regretted for a long time, but in the memoir she writes so many things about Justin, exposing every little secret that he once held close. The world now knows that Britney almost had a baby with him, but that he encouraged her not to have it, something she went through with, but regrets to this day. I have not personally read her book yet, but it's on my wish list, so we shall see how terrible this dude really is once I actually get a crack inside that thing. One thing that was revealed, and that is now public knowledge, is just how much shame Britney felt when Justin released the song Cry Me a River, directly throwing shade and blame at Britney Spears. Too bad for Britney, it's a catchy song. So many people around the world listen to Cry Me a River, a song where Justin claimed Britney had cheated on him, while in her book she revealed the opposite happened and he actually cheated on her. The entire thing is just solved when you choose a side, and I personally don't care either way, so I'll let you guys be the judge of that one. But since the news broke and his name has been dragged through all of the mud, he's actually been forced to turn off his social media notifications thanks to the flurry of negativity that he's receiving. To be fair to the world, he does not come out looking like a great guy in this book. On top of the whole baby situation, Britney revealed that Justin was not the best boy in town. Over the years, this guy has been spotted being a menace in public, and we've forgiven him time and time again when we really shouldn't. If there is one man on this planet who's put his foot in his own mouth time and time again, it's Justin Timberlake. Now, before the year 2010, this man had appeared on so many stages and so many different forums that there is at least one little Justin slip-up recorded at all of them. For instance, when Justin was introducing Madonna at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony, he made a comment that the world was full of people trying to imitate Madonna and that he might have been dating one at one point. This was in direct reference to Britney Spears, and it made him look like a jerk. He also likes to interrupt people in interviews and bombard them with criticism, but we will talk about that in a little bit. This man has been making his name known around the world for a very long time, not just during his time with NSYNC, but afterwards as well. There are a lot of on-stage incidences with Justin and other celebrities, and off-stage as well. This man was in the middle of a podcast in the early 2000s when he literally told the host that he did in fact F Britney Spears, only he didn't say F. In doing research for this video, I found like 20 examples of this dude making a fool of himself in public. He's pretended to be Prince at the Golden Globes by crouching down to his size, like 5'2", and doing a terrible impression of him. He has a penchant for imitation, as he also did this to Rihanna's mom as he accepted his American Music Award for Best Male Soul and R&B Singer. He doesn't research the names of things before he uses them, like when he released a song called Take Back the Night, which is also the name of an anti-mistreatment organization, and he literally paid someone to pretend to be Britney and crash a car on camera for his music video to What Goes Around Comes Around. This dude is a menace. On top of turning off his Instagram notifications, he's actually been forced to postpone his tour. He was slated to appear at various clubs across the US early next year, but due to the slew of hate that he is receiving, there is no chance of that happening anytime soon. The tour was supposed to be a promotional one. Justin is working on a new album, and this was going to be its big momentous reveal. Despite the cancellation, Justin's former bandmates, including Lance Bass, have publicly expressed their support for Justin. Justin's friend and former NSYNC bandmate Lance Lance Bass has made his opinions known, and it's shocking. He posted online to say that everyone's entitled to their own opinion. It just feels like the world is so full of hate at the moment that we need to practice a little self-forgiveness. Britney did, so let's take a note from her. I know it's very juicy that Lance Bass wants people to be civil and friendly. I don't know, that's a lot to ask of people. The world's a crazy place right now. He continued to say that everyone deserves to have their story shared. She did, and he hopes that fans can again find some forgiveness. Lance and Justin recently reconnected along with their fellow NSYNC crew to record a song together for the first time in 20 years. Unfortunately, it seems like this will be the only time that these guys get back together anytime soon. The backlash coming Justin's way is next level. According to sources, Justin actually had no idea that he'd be featured so prominently in this book. Of course, he was under the impression that she would expose some secrets for the purposes of plot, but not air out every single little piece of dirty laundry that there was to offer. According to a source, Justin is actually very disappointed about the whole situation. He felt disappointed that she felt the need to write so much about him specifically. He also has a lot of regret in his soul knowing that he hurt Britney when he was so young. Britney has every right to tell her side of the story so that herself and everyone involved can begin to heal and move on, according to Justin's wife, Jessica Biel. Justin's current wife is no stranger to her husband being a pain in the neck. One night a few years back, Justin was spotted holding hands with his Palmer co-star Alicia Wainwright while he was still very much married to Jessica, and she was pregnant with their second kid. Of course, the internet, being what it is, saw this man holding another woman's hand and just assumed that he was cheating on her, but it turned out that that was not the case. So if you thought that when you first saw the picture, I'm sorry, that's silly. Justin was forced to release a public statement clarifying that he had in fact not done anything bad with his co-star at all. He had a bit too much no-no juice, he wasn't paying attention to how he was acting, and he actually claims to have grown close to his co-star, but in more like a brother-sister kind of way. Jessica forgave him, but he continued to showcase a pattern of careless actions. He's used offensive accents and language during interviews and even while he's been on stage performing music. Because Justin associates himself with rap, he seems to think he's okay to use slang and speak with an accent that just doesn't sound right coming from his mouth. Jessica and Justin actually posted a photo together on Instagram with a caption, "Here we come, and dang, my wife is hot, hashtag time's up, hashtag why we wear black." For those of you who may have forgotten, hashtag time's up and the fact that everyone was wearing black at the Grammys in 2018 was to stand in solidarity with survivors of mistreatments. So you can imagine people got pretty upset about that. Justin really should not be so upset about the revelations in this memoir compared to, I don't know, Britney's parents. This man seems like an angel. One thing that comes up a lot in Britney's memoir is her relationship to her family. She discusses the strain that's been placed on the bond between herself and her mother, Lynn Spears. She dives deep into her childhood and what really went down. In the book, she said that she started drinking no-no juice with her mother when she was in the 8th grade. Of course, that's awful and nobody should ever do that because Britney wouldn't just have a sip of grape juice now and again, she would drink no-no juice like it was her job. She explained that for fun, she started having fruity no-no juice with her mom while they were in Biloxi, Mississippi. To make things feel less illegal, they would call the drinks toddies, named after the adult beverage that's basically just no-no tea. Britney felt a special bond with her mother because of this, especially considering the contrast between her mother and her father Jamie. When her mother had a few, she was bubbly and happy, and so was Britney, but when Jamie had a few, he'd get angry and depressed. The behavior is terrible, and while bonding with your parents is awesome, that's not the right way to do it. Britney's father, Jamie, has had a complex relationship with his daughter for most of her life. In her memoir, she shared the harsh judgment she constantly received from him. She explained that she thought getting criticized for her body in the press was bad, but it hurt even more when it was coming from her own dad. He repeatedly told her that she looked heavy and that she needed to do something about it. She explained that even as a small child, he would never give her the love or attention that she needed. In the book, she said that feeling like you are never good enough is soul-crushing for a young child. He drummed that message into her growing up, and even after she accomplished so much, he was continuing to make her feel like dirt. Jamie's wild opinions about Britney got so much worse when she was under her conservatorship. Under the conservatorship, Jamie was named as one of the several people in her life that can make important decisions for her. She was forced to grow her recently shaved hair back out and go back into shape. Whatever that means. For 13 years, Jamie remained in control of her life right up until the suspension in 2021. As many may know, Britney was placed under a psychiatric hold in 2008 following what we will call a difficult night, and was later placed under a conservatorship by her father Jamie. In her book, she explains what she actually had to go through at the time, saying that shaving her head and acting out were just ways of pushing back. Under the conservatorship, she was made to understand that those days were now over. She had to grow her hair back, get into shape, take medications, go to bed early, all this terrible stuff that she was being forced to do by other people. Britney revealed that she felt like an infant under the conservatorship and lost her passion for music, explaining that she started to feel more and more like a thing on stage rather than a person. In her book, she said that she had always felt music in her bones, but her family had stolen that from her. She reminded readers of the contrast between male and female artists, telling them to think of all the male artists who gamble their money away, who have substance control issues, mental health problems, anything like that, but many have never had their control of their bodies or money taken away. Before the book was released, people were just under the impression this conservatorship was some kind of a financial thing, but as her book revealed, it's a lot darker than that. Number 10. Gina Carano. Gina was slowly building a name for herself in the early 2010s as a woman to be feared on screen, portraying characters like Riley Hicks in the Fast and Furious franchise, and her most recent role as Cara Dune in The Mandalorian, a series that has decided to move on without Ms. Carano on set, for the simple fact that she is just very misguided on her views towards everything in existence. In 2021, Carano made a series of politically charged social media posts, the most damning of which came when she compared modern American political polarization to camps in Germany in 1945. Those are very different things. She has also mocked the usage of face coverings during 2020 and was one of the many celebrities who were claiming voter fraud following Donald Trump's loss during election time. To throw the cherry on top of the trash sundae she was making, Gina also made her opinions on pronouns known, claiming that hers were beep boop beep boop. Yeah, well hey, beep this out. You, Gina! All of this combined eventually culminated in the hashtag FireGinaCarano on Twitter, which began trending fast, forcing Disney as well as her management company to cut their ties with Gina. Needless to say, The Mandalorian is doing just fine without her, and the rest of Hollywood is glad that she dug herself into a deep, dark, cringy grave. Number 9. Shia LaBeouf. Shia has been a controversial celebrity over the years for sure, becoming famous as one of the hardest people to work with in Hollywood history. Like many bad apples in LA, Shia got his start on the Disney Channel. At the turn of the century, Disney released a little show called The Even Stevens. The series followed the titular Stevens family with a focus on the kids Ren and Louis, played by Christy Romano and Shia LaBeouf. The show is considered to be one of Disney's best, spanning 3 seasons and spawning an Even Stevens movie that is still one of the greatest pieces of cinema ever released. These days, Shia has adopted more of a mountain man look. He always looks like he's got a big bushy beard whenever he can, and he has gone from bright and youthful to just tired and annoyed. I feel that, man. Following the show's end, Shia kept his acting career going strong, appearing in much-loved classics like Holes as main character Stanley Yelnats, but it wasn't until his casting in the live-action Transformers series that he began to descend into madness. Since 2007, Shia's behavior as both an actor and a person has been getting worse and worse. His fellow actors have reported that Shia takes method acting way too far and smells terrible on set, not to mention the several public art displays that he gifted the world in the mid-2000s. Oh, and who could forget his passionate motivational video where he told us that nothing was impossible and we could just do it. While he may still be working today, he's usually the one that's like backing the projects he's in. In the eyes of Hollywood and, well, from most of us, Shia canceled himself the minute he stood in front of a green screen and yelled at the top of his lungs, "Do it! Nothing is impossible!" Number 8. DaBaby. The rapper formerly known as Baby Jesus, and I will always remind you of that because that is a weird fact. DaBaby has always had a bad boy streak in the music industry. He's known for dropping some choice expletives on stage all the time, and even makes fun of his fans right to their faces. This unfortunately culminated in him deciding that it was appropriate to joke about a certain disease that's unnecessarily linked to the gay community. On stage, he told his fans to put up their cell phones if they didn't have any STIs. Honestly, he said a lot of weird stuff before saying the words "put your phones in the air" like he was playing some kind of a massive game of Guess Who. It's like, alright, if you have brown hair, put your hair. No, it's just weird. Just don't do that to people. Of course, he was torn to shreds by the LGBTQ+ community, including icons Elton John, Madonna, and one of his collaborators, Dua Lipa. Not only did he cancel himself, but he was actually set to release a clothing line with fashion brand Boohoo Man, but they backed out following the public outcry. To top it all off, 2 of his biggest performances set to take place at Lollapalooza and a concert in Atlanta were canceled amid the flurry of complaint calls and emails that the venue had been receiving. DaBaby actually called Bald himself canceled on Twitter, joking about the whole situation while just one single tear rolled down his face. Number 7. James Franco. James has placed himself in a little bubble of public exile for using his powers for evil. The man behind some iconic characters like his portrayal as the real-life filmmaker Tommy Wiseau, or his role as Harry Osborn in the original Spider-Man trilogy, or just so many more. He seemed to be on the way to a long, successful career following multiple collaborations with longtime friend Seth Rogen, as well as his turn in more serious roles like True Story as a man on death row telling his tale of woe to a writer played by Jonah Hill. Apparently though, James has a problem keeping his hands to himself, especially when it comes to his acting students. In 2018, 5 female students at his Studio 4 acting school in North Hollywood told the Los Angeles Times that Franco had parlayed his position to exploit them physically. 2 of those women sued, and Franco was forced to settle outside of court and fork over $2.23 million. At that time, he was writing, acting, and directing a show for HBO called The Deuce, which, he was allowed to stay on and finish because hey, it was being cancelled anyway. Not only did fans call for the cancellation of the series, but the public outcry forced Seth Rogen to drop his longtime pal, telling the Times of London that the scandal had changed their relationship and he had no plans to collaborate with James anytime in the near future. So there's a simple lesson to this one, folks. If you don't want to cancel yourself, keep your hands to yourselves. Number 6. Chrissy Teigen. Chrissy canceled herself by being the meaniest, bobiniest woman on the internet. In May of 2020, an individual by the name of Courtney Stodden, a pageant model and media personality, claimed that fellow model and media star Chrissy Teigen had publicly bullied them online for years. Chrissy was accused of regularly tweeting that she wished Courtney would just take a permanent dirt nap, or straight up just end herself. Find a bridge and just Apparently Chrissy harbored some kind of jealousy towards Courtney's success and decided to take it online instead of, just not publicizing her personal problems. Chrissy quickly apologized for the tweets and DMs, which were sent as recently as 2019. In one of her last posts, she tweeted, "I'm sad and mortified at who I used to be. I was an insecure, attention-seeking troll, and I'm ashamed and completely embarrassed at my behavior. But that is nothing compared to how I made Courtney feel." Chrissy then decided to delete her social medias, because that makes you look good, following a slew of backlash of her actions, eventually leading to her being fired or leaving any job that she had both on and off the screen. Next time, Chrissy, just keep your jealousy balled up deep inside of you like the rest of us, eh? Maybe you'd still have a career. Just maybe. Just a little bit. Number 5. Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen had one of the most successful daytime talk shows of all time until 2020. Her show became overwhelmed with accusations of toxic work environment from former employees. They were claiming that Ellen's happy exterior was nothing more than a facade put in place to keep the audience on her team. A small bit of proof came when she accused 50 Shades of Grey actress Dakota Johnson of not inviting her to a birthday party a few months prior. Dakota reminded her that she had in fact sent an invitation and received a notice from her producer that said that she didn't want to attend. Fans began questioning the awkward moment, and the cracks in her appearance grew bigger and bigger. Eventually, an article was released containing testimonies from several former employees, with too many stories to have been a false narrative. Ellen canceled herself by denying every single thing that she was being accused of instead of just acknowledging her faults and missteps as a boss. Instead, Ellen's fans took to Twitter demanding that she respond to the articles and the claims that she was herself a short-tempered tyrant. Well, she didn't respond as you may think with like a public apology, no. Instead, she was forced to cancel both herself and her show amid the controversy and has been on a hiatus ever since. Oh well, more time for Kelly Clarkson. Number 4. J.K. Rowling. Alright, all you Harry Potter fans, cover your ears cause this one sucks. J.K. Rowling is known for being the author of the much-loved Harry Potter book series that was eventually adapted into 7 gloriously magical movies and Order of the Phoenix. In June 2020, Rowling retweeted an op-ed piece that discussed people who menstruate, apparently taking issue with the fact that the article did not use the word women. She tweeted, "People who menstruate. I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Woman, wimpund, womud." Oh man, every time I read that, steam comes out of my ears. I don't like this woman. While this tweet garnered massive amounts of backlash from fans, Rowling doubled down on her views in more detail. She tweeted out, "If gender isn't real, there is no same-gender attraction. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of gender removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives." Okay. She went on to say she respected trans people's right to live any way that feels authentic to them. At the same time, "My life has been shaped by being a female." She then claimed that it wasn't wrong to speak the truth and be proud of your opinions, but hey, yeah, it is. Everyone in the world called JK out for her comments and views, with the live-action Harry Potter stars even taking to Twitter to call out her behavior and stand with the trans community. JK's publishers dropped her from their rosters, and the future of her writing career has gone up in smoke like it was straight out of the Death Eater's bum bum. If she had just kept her opinions to herself, maybe The Cursed Child would be an awesome movie instead of an okay play. Just saying, JK, go away, let us do stuff with your properties, please. Number 3, Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle dominated the comedy scene in the 1990s and early 2000s. His stand-up was considered to be the most gut-busting and entertaining around, and his role in films like The Nutty Professor, Robin Hood Men in Tights, and the cult classic Half-Baked made him a massive star. He took a bit of a break from starring in films to focus on his family life and his true passion, stand-up comedy. Despite being on stage for over 12 years though, Dave never really learned to follow suit with the times. There were just, certain topics that have become rude to joke about, and many jokes considered to be funny in the 80s and 90s just haven't aged well. Oh, who'da thunk it? Well, unfortunately, that seems to be all the material that Dave has. In one of his most recent Netflix specials, Dave decided that it was his time and his stage and he could do whatever he wants. So apparently what he wanted to do was make fun of the LGBTQ+ community, spewing trash jokes not worth quoting or repeating or looking up. So if you're curious how bad it was, let me just sum it up by saying they were rough enough to have Dave's fans turn on him immediately. Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos actually defended the comedian, claiming that he had artistic freedom, even after a group of Netflix employees and transgender advocates staged a virtual walkout. He later apologized and said that he handled the situation poorly. Oh, poor Ted, accidentally supporting a bigot. Number 2, Will Smith. Whoa, Will Smith canceled himself? How? Yeah, I'm just kidding. We all know this one by now. In 2022, Chris Rock was hosting the 94th annual Oscar ceremony when he decided to make a little joke about Jada Pinkett Smith and her hair loss. Rock expressed his excitement to see Jada in a fictional G.I. Jane movie. Immediately following the joke, which landed for everybody else in the audience, Rock stood in confusion as Will Smith made his way to the stage. Will adjusted his jacket, he took a firm, strong stance, and then he just clocked Chris right in the face. He winded up his hand first to conjure the ultimate amount of force. It was kind of impressive. Initially being seen as a planned joke between the two, Will then began shouting several times at Rock to keep his wife's name out of his freaking mouth. Chris handled the situation well. He kept his cool, he laughed it off for the cameras, and he brought out the next award presenter. He was a gem, he did it so well. He was professional and quick to get the night back on track. Unfortunately though, an hour later, Will Smith won the Oscar for Best Actor in a Leading Role. He played Richard Williams, the father of tennis superstars Venus and Serena Williams. During his speech, he gave a half-hearted apology for his actions before claiming the situation was due to his months of portraying the father on set, leaving him with an extreme paternal sense to protect his family. Unfortunately for Will, that slap was enough to get him banned from the Oscars. On top of that, he seemingly canceled himself, now being seen as an aggressive man with no impulse control. He was fired from upcoming projects, and he currently sits at home all day polishing his one and only Oscar next to a single candle in the darkest room of his mansion. And at number 1, Kanye West. Hey look, it's Canceled McGee! Man, I love Kanye West. Whenever it comes to the worst celebrities that have ruined their own careers, this guy is always gonna be number 1. Now, I've written a small poem inspired by Dr. Seuss just to remind the viewers at home exactly what Kanye did to get canceled. So, here we go. Ye was a rapper who lived in LA. He decided to ruin his rep though one day. He typed and he clicked to his little heart's content. He said racist stuff. He needed to vent. He posted to Twitter to share all his woes. The world said no thank you, it's time that he goes. He was canceled and soiled his semi-good name. He chose anger and hate over fortune and fame. His clothes all got burned and his wife left his home. No more sponsors, no more Kim. Kanye was alone. What was worse still, keeping Ye in the dumps? His only friend got arrested. Poor Donald Trump.
Starting off our list today at number 10, we have Kanye West. After causing quite a stir in Hollywood, Kanye then went on to disappear, and everyone's been wondering where he could have taken off to. Billboard would then later publish an article that would state Kanye's former lawyers even spent months trying to track the star down, and it wasn't an easy process as Kanye had changed his phone number in the hopes of staying hidden. After being tracked down by his attorneys, they then went on to drop Kanye as a client. Just a few weeks after, Kanye would then be caught out in the public as he was spotted with a mystery woman. But the star has tried to remain out of the spotlight as much as he can. The public has since been led to assume that the real reason Kanye has gone into hiding is because of his financial woes. And he's also been running from a lawsuit that his ex-business managers have filed. Either way, it's probably best that he stays out of the spotlight at this time. Number 9. Armie Hammer. After Armie Hammer fell from grace, the former actor would disappear from the spotlight after facing some serious allegations from his former ex-girlfriends, claiming that he had these cannibalism fetishes. And there was even some accusations that Armie made unwanted gestures towards the woman. The first series of allegations were launched against the star in 2021, but until the release of the 2022 Discovery true crime docu-series House of Hammer that was released, the matters behind the accusations remained relatively quiet as the actor retreated from the spotlight following the allegations. Armie then tried to keep a low profile, and after going to rehab, it was later said that the actor was residing in the Cayman Islands alongside his estranged wife, Elizabeth Chambers, and their 2 young children. At the same time, it would also be rumored that the actor was working at a hotel on the island after he was cut off from his family's fortune. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming number 8, we have Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. From starring in many TV shows and movies to their fashion business, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen could be seen everywhere in the late 90s all the way to the early 2000s, but somewhere along the way, the twins just slowly started to disappear from the spotlight, and no one has heard a thing from the famous duo in years. Then out of nowhere in 2014, they would announce that they were retiring from acting, and they eventually launched 2 fashion lines called The Row and Elizabeth and James, which they still even own today, even following the controversies that followed the line. As in 2015, several of The Row's former interns took the company to court asking for payment for work they did on Mary-Kate and Ashley's fashion label. According to the lawsuit, The Row's interns were forced to work up to 50-hour weeks doing the same work as some of the full-time employees of their fashion line. Yet the lawsuit lead plaintiff then claimed the interns were also treated very poorly by the Olsen's company. Even with the lawsuit, there still isn't much buzz about the brand these days compared to when they first launched the companies, and that's probably because the clothes just aren't that nice, and you pay $5,000 just to wear a sheet when you can go to Walmart and buy that sheet for $5. Number 7. Cameron Diaz. Former Hollywood it girl Cameron Diaz was on the road to have a very successful career, but then out of nowhere she slowly started to disappear from the entertainment industry, and it would slowly start to happen after fans started to claim that she was actually pretty rude to interact with. While Cameron has claimed that she left Hollywood on her own terms by telling In Style in 2019, "I've given more than half of my life to the public. I feel like that's okay for me to take this time for myself." Her statement would come just after Hollywood pretty much closed their doors on her. While the star has since been enjoying her time away from the spotlight, in 2020 she did announce the birth of her daughter, and she's been focusing her free time on being an amazing mother. Number 6. Amanda Bynes. I honestly miss seeing Amanda Bynes on the big screen because as a child, I really just couldn't wait to get home to watch the Amanda Bynes show or any of the movies she starred in like She's the Man, Sydney White, and Hairspray. Amanda was seriously one of the most talented child stars and one of Nickelodeon's best success stories, who managed to turn that into a thriving movie career. But then out of nowhere she started to struggle around 2012 after the star was charged with driving under the influence and then charged with 2 hit and runs. She would then spend 3 years under probation. Just when we thought the star was done spiraling out of control, her troubles with the law continued long afterwards, and it eventually became clear that she was suffering from some type of underlying issues like Britney Spears endured when she ended up under a conservatorship. Today it seems like Amanda is happy and back on track as she's now studying to be a nail tech, and shortly we should see her in the salon doing some amazing work. Number 5. Meg Ryan. At one point, Meg Ryan served up some of America's best and most memorable romantic comedies, and then one day she just seemed to just disappear from the spotlight. It would all come after her marriage started to crumble, and then the headlines started to smear her name as they claimed she cheated on her husband while she was on set of Proof of Life. After the star cheated on her husband to get with Russell Crowe, she would find it really hard going forward to find work. Now the actor wouldn't exactly disappear, but she has preferred to keep a low profile these days. And when she does work on set, most of her work is actually behind the camera as a producer and a director, which is honestly disappointing as her face deserves to be seen in front of the screen. Number 4. Drake Bell. Drake Bell used to be a major heartthrob in the 90s, but after he was accused of endangerment charges towards a younger person after a female victim claimed that she met him online and that he made insinuate unwanted advances towards her. He would then plead guilty, and every door in Hollywood would start to close the door on him. Eventually, the star would take to Instagram to address his recklessness and irresponsible texts when he issued an apology to his fans, but then he also went on to claim that he wasn't telling us the claims were false, but that the state of Ohio actually proved that the claims were false. And if the claims were true, he wouldn't be at home with his wife and son. But then later, even Josh Peck would call out Drake Bell, and he would speak about their longtime feud that started when Drake called out the star for not being invited to his wedding. But pretty much, Drake then went on to say some hurtful things, and Josh even asked the star to apologize to his wife. Today, Drake has tried everything to stay away from the spotlight, but it just seems his name every now and then keeps getting smeared across the headlines. Number 3. Felicity Huffman. After the college admission scandal rocked the world largely because big-name celebrities were embroiled in the scheme, one of the most notable people caught in the falsifying documents was Felicity Huffman. And since she has avoided making public appearances, compared to other celebrities caught in the scandal, Felicity's legal woes seem to be far less severe because she took the responsibility for her actions in a guilty plea where she expressed genuine remorse. She then went on to serve 11 days of her 14-day jail sentence and paid a $30,000 fine and was required to work 250 hours of community service for paying $15,000 to save her daughter's SAT scores. After gaining sympathy from the public instead of rushing back to rebuild her Hollywood career, she has since been focused on helping others. Number 2. Lori Loughlin. Following the college admission scheme, Lori would find her name being embroiled within the mess, and with it, she would be ousted by Hallmark's parent company, Crown Media, after she was charged with conspiracy to commit mail fraud in connection with the scheme. When Lori appeared in court and was released on a $1 million bail, it would then be revealed that she and her husband agreed to pay $500,000 to guarantee that 2 of their daughters got into the University of Southern California as members of the road team, even though neither of them were athletes. The scandal would then impact Lori's career as Crown Media would announce it was cutting ties with the Full House star. Now, Lori was able to reprise her role in a Hallmark Christmas spinoff just after, but other than that, no one's been throwing roles her way, and it's probably for a good reason, as you can't cheat your way through life just because you have money. And coming in number 1 today, we have Thomas Gibson. In August of 2016, Thomas Gibson would be involved in an on-set altercation with Virgil Williams, a writer and producer of the show Criminal Minds. While Thomas was directing an episode of the show, he apparently kicked Williams and was initially suspended for 2 episodes. Thomas would then release his own statement by saying, "There were creative differences on set and a disagreement. I regret that occurred. We all want to work together as a team to make the best show possible. We always have and always will." Later that week, ABC Studios and CBS would then announce that Thomas had been ultimately fired, and it would then be stated that this wasn't his first altercation on the set, as he was even forced to attend anger management classes in the past. When the studio realized it wasn't helping, they ultimately made the decision so they could keep everyone on set safe, because he just couldn't keep his hands to himself. Starting off our list today at number 10, we have Will Smith. The whole world has been talking about the infamous slap that happened at the 2023 Oscars, to the point it's just old and everyone needs to stop talking about it. However, with a handful of celebrities such as Jim Carrey, Amy Schumer, Zoe Kravitz, and many more speaking out about Will's actions, it has caused Hollywood to turn their backs on this brilliant actor, and it would start the cancellation process of Will Smith. Sony would then announce that they would have to put Bad Boys 4 on hold, and Netflix would also backburn Fast and Loose. CAA then started to discuss if they should drop Will as a client. Smith then canceled himself by quitting the Academy, and the Academy then went on to ban him from attending the ceremony for the next 10 years. And we still don't know what this means for the star within this period of time, and we're just going to have to wait and see. Number 9, James Franco. Back in 2014, James would be exposed for going on Instagram and asking a girl when he was outside a theater in New York if she was 18. She then told the actor she was actually 17. He then went on to ask her the name of the hotel she was staying at and if he should get a room in the same hotel as well. Later in an interview on ABC Live with Kelly and Michael, the actor would then explain the encounter by saying, "I used bad judgment and I learned my lesson." Then in 2018, 4 female students from his Studio for Acting School in North Hollywood told Los Angeles Times that James had compromised his position as a teacher to make unwanted moves and exploit them. With two of those girls going on to sue James, the actor would then have to fork out $2.23 million after he settled the case. Seth Rogen, his longtime collaborator and pal, also went on to drop James, and he would later tell the Times at London that the scandal changed his relationship and that he had no plans to work with Franco in the future, which became the end of the pair's 20-year partnership. James then made an appearance on the Jess Cagle podcast in 2021, where he admitted that he slept with his acting prodigies and that it was wrong, before claiming he had struggled with addiction and that being dismissed by Seth was actually a really hurtful experience for him to go through. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming back to our list, in the number 8 spot, we have Kanye West. It's hard to know where to start with Kanye West's long list of controversies, as not only has the star been accused of cyberbullying his ex-wife Kim Kardashian and her old partner Pete Davidson, but he's also made some anti-Semitic statements that has everyone wondering if the star is really doing this as a cry for help. Kanye's obsession with trying to control and manipulate the situation has caused his career to plummet, and he lost out on huge business deals not only with Gap and Adidas, but also with Balenciaga. On top of that, he was even dropped by his agent. Now, it's unclear with how long the rapper will be canceled for, but one thing is for sure is that even when we should be keeping him out of the spotlight, outlets just keep scheduling interviews and pushing him to his limits, to the point his unhinged moments have become more unhinged, and every time it's like we see something we've never seen before. Number 7, Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer has been pinned by some disturbing allegations from his former flame, Effie Angel Nova, when she accused him of making unwanted advances and fantasizing about cannibalism. And then another ex would claim that Armie carved an A into her pelvis, and that he even asked her to have a rib removed surgically so he could eat it. And if things couldn't get any worse, an app developer who dated Armie for 5 months in 2020 also made the same claims, and on top of that, she said the actor liked the idea of having skin in his teeth. Now, Armie's lawyers have gone on to deny all the allegations by saying any interactions with any of his partners were completely consensual, and that they were fully discussed, agreed upon, and it was a mutual participation. After the allegations were released, the divorced dad would go on to be dropped out of the film Shotgun Wedding, the Paramount Plus series The Offer, and the Broadway show The Minutes. In February 2022, a close friend to the actor would then tell the Post that his acting career should be coming back any day now, but that still hasn't happened, and it probably won't. Number 6, DaBaby. When DaBaby was caught making homophobic remarks at a music festival in Miami back in 2021, he would end his career after he made some comments that dissed the LGBTQ+ community. Then later he went to try to clarify his views, and he only dug his hole even deeper to crawl out of after he doubled down on his claims. So DaBaby then got ripped apart by the LGBTQ+ community, and even celebrities like Madonna, Elton John, and Dua Lipa called him out for his insensitive comments. The fashion brand Boo Hoo Man even bolted on a deal they had with him. He would then find himself being booted from the 2022 Lollapalooza tour, and his concert in Atlanta was called off amid a flurry of cancellations for his concerts, including a radio station putting his music into a timeout. DaBaby then went on to embrace his plummeting stock and declared himself cancelled in a new version of his hit Whole Lotta Money, where he cries and laughs off his current situation. Coming at number 5, we have Gina Carano. Gina Carano is a former MMA fighter turned Mandalorian star who angered some fans with a series of politically charged social media posts after the star made an anti-Semitic statement and paired them with American politics in 2021. She also went on to use a slew of hate towards the Jewish community before adding, "How is it any different from hating someone for their political views?" The actress later came under fire again when she decided to make fun of transgender people on Twitter by saying she preferred the pronouns beep, bop, boop. In the wake of her anti-Semitic comments, the hashtag #FiredGinaCarano began to trend on Twitter, which resulted in Disney to sever ties with her, and her management company, United Talent Agency, dropped her as a client as well. And where are you gonna go without your agency? Nowhere. Number 4, Chrissy Teigen. After ex-swimsuit model Chrissy Teigen was accused of bullying Courtney Stodden in the beginning of 2011 after Courtney was 16 and married 51-year-old Lost actor Doug Hutchinson, Courtney would claim that Chrissy wouldn't just tweet her things about her needing to take a dirt nap, but the model would also tell Kourtney she wished she would just pass away in her DMs. Kourtney would then spark fashion designer Michael Cotello and teen mom Brera Abraham to come out with their stories where they claimed Teigen bullied them as well. Teigen then quit her role as a narrator on the hit show Never Have I Ever, and she was then replaced by Gigi Hadid. It was then reported that her cookware line disappeared from Macy's and that Bloomingdale's had dropped her from their deal. Chrissy also had to back out of a planned cleaning products line that she was working on with Kris Jenner. Chrissy then tried to apologize to everyone including Kourtney, but the apology just wasn't genuine, and it was more just an attempt she made to try to save her career. Number 3. Matt Damon. When Matt Damon infuriated the LGBTQ+ advocates when he told the Sunday Times of London in August of 2021 that one of his daughters had taken him to task months ago for using a homophobic slur in a joke, the 51-year-old actor then went on to defend the comments in a statement, later claiming that the Times interview led many to assume the worst, and then he went on to say that he never called anyone that word in his personal life, and it was just a conversation that he was having with his daughter, and it was not a personal awakening, before claiming he doesn't use any types of slurs towards anyone. While Matt went on to receive a huge amount of hate online, he hurt many fans in the process, and because of this, the actor hasn't really gotten many gigs in acting and directing. As the scandal did break, Matt was promoting his film Stillwater, which took in a disappointing $2 million at the box office, and The Last Duel also flopped as it earned just $30 million. Meaning, Matt won't be offered any directing gigs anytime soon because he's costing production companies an insane amount of money because his films aren't living up to what it's bringing in. Number 2, we have Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle was slammed for making jokes about the LGBTQ+ community in October of 2021. Netflix special The Closer. GLAAD then released a statement saying Dave Chappelle's brand has become synonymous with ridiculing trans people and other marginalized communities. Dave would then be booed and protested by some students when visiting his high school in Washington, D.C., and in February it would be announced that Dave would be producing 4 more comedy specials. And then he went on to shrug off all his backlash by saying, "Is this what's being cancelled is like? I love it." He has since continued to perform and was nominated for a 2022 Grammy, but more and more people continue to refuse to work with the star, and I don't blame them. And coming in number 1 today, we have J.K. Rowling. Harry Potter author caused a storm with her social media post about the transgender community, starting in 2019 when she supported a British woman who was fired from her job after making transphobic tweets. 6 months later, J.K. then piled on with her own snarky tweet about menstruation. She then went on to pen an essay on her personal website explaining her position but not putting out any fires. In addition to ongoing backlash, fans and Harry Potter stars Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint have all taken the author to task, to the point JK even skipped the HBO reunion special for the 20th anniversary. Even with her cancellation, it seems like the author is just becoming richer as she continues to make deals and produce more movies in the franchise she created. So starting off our list today at number 10, we have Kanye West. So back in 2022, the world saw Kanye West lose everything in the matter of seconds after he made some appalling anti-Semitic tirades that cost him his entire massive fortune. Almost everyone from his lawyers to agents and mouth-watering endorsement partners have dropped Kanye, and with his universal cancellation, it has caused the rapper's net worth to dip from $2 billion to $400 million. It all began at a Paris fashion show when the rapper thought it would be a good idea to wear a WLM t-shirt, which snowballed into anti-Semitism claims on mainstream and social media. The final straw was when Kanye completely lost it and started to throw some hateful statements at the Jewish community. The striking anti-Semitic comments forced even some of Kanye's biggest fans to back off and back the cancellation campaign of the rapper, but seriously, at the end of the day, Kanye really needed someone to take his phone away and keep him away from the spotlight, and that's where his team failed him. Number 9. Wendy Williams. It's clear that there's a lot going on with Wendy Williams right now, as the media personality is reportedly feeling broken. While it has been reported that the star is struggling with addiction that led to her being hospitalized, in the weeks leading up to her health scares, an inside source would then reveal to The Sun that the star was pretty much drinking every day while she was even filming her show. While the star seems like she was doing okay for a bit, The Sun would then soon publish another report that would reveal that Wendy was still not over the betrayal of her ex-husband Kevin Hunter, and these feelings have contributed to her downward spiral. When Wendy found out her ex-husband was having a baby with his mistress, she immediately filed for divorce despite the two being married for 20 years. This is when Wendy also started to open up about her addiction, which stemmed from the betrayal to her viewers on the show. At this time, she would also confess to living in a sober house. But even after all of her hard work to get back on track, seems like she might be back at square one, as she has been caught looking pretty disheveled in the streets lately, and it looks pretty concerning, as it's clear that the star isn't exactly in the right headspace. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It would really help us out. Now, hopping back to our list, at the number 8 spot, we have Miley Cyrus. So with Miley Cyrus starting off her career at the age 11 as a child artist with the hit Disney Channel series Hannah Montana, she was the envy of many children who wanted to work in Hollywood. While the show was catered to younger audiences, of course, it's Disney, Miley suddenly shifted in the public eye, and this became a huge problem for Walt Disney Studios. When her song Can't Be Tamed was released in 2010, her image was drastically overhauled with her spicy music video. And because of this video, it was a little risky. It did raised some problems for Disney, as it featured their Hannah Montana star twisting around male and female dancers. While many would claim Miley was losing her mind as she was trying to escape the grasp of Disney to be free, it wouldn't be until Miley decided to pose topless with her back exposed for a Vanity Fair photo shoot that would have Disney scrambling to their feet when they realized Miley's squeaky clean image was threatened overnight. Just a day after the photo shoot, Disney then decided to cancel all connections they had with Miley, meaning her show and any music that played on the Disney radio channel. While the star continued to go on to ruin the good girl image Disney forced her to be, we all saw everything from tongues, risky outfits, twerking, and everything in between. But honestly, while Disney may have halted the new stages of Miley, she really came out here to prove to young women all over the world that we don't have to live up to society's pressures, and that was honestly pretty inspiring to see. Number 7, Britney Spears. Britney Spears has had a rough life. While the world just thought the star was losing her mind for no reason, when we all learned about her conservatorship, it all made us realize that every time the star acted out, she was really doing this because she was begging the world to notice that something was up and that she wasn't doing okay. While Britney's family forced the star to work endlessly so they could live off of her giant fortune, they enjoyed everything from spa days to champagne, and Britney would find herself being barred from these sorts of activities. It was so bad that the star couldn't even enjoy a cup of coffee. Now, eventually, Britney would tell the world what was truly going on with her and why her mental health was deteriorating so fast. And a lot of her actions then started to make a lot of sense. So back in the day when the world was making fun of the star and claimed that she was simply just off her rocker because she shaved her head or played dress up with her food at a restaurant table, while these gestures did seem a bit odd, it was Britney's way of showing us that her family was controlling her day-to-day life and she really needed us to help save her. Number 6, Will Smith. Just before the infamous Oscar slap, it said that Will Smith was having a terrifying vision that showed him losing all of his money. And while the star was also being humiliated by his wife again and again, he really didn't have anywhere to turn to. So it just kept getting bottled up inside, so eventually that pain and anger was so bottled up inside him that it was only a matter of minutes before the star would actually lose it. And unfortunately, that moment came just before he won an Oscar. While Chris Rock probably shouldn't have made such a hurtful joke to begin with, Will should have known better than to react with violence. With the slap sending Will into this professional life spiral, no one would have thought what was going to happen next. With Will being canceled, the Academy would then go on to ban him for the next 10 years from the award shows, and he also made the decision decision to quit the academy altogether. And if it couldn't get any worse, Jada then started to make headlines saying that she never wanted to be with Will and that it was her mother forced her to do it. At the end of the day, Will's mental health was just deteriorating so fast that even he had to check himself into a hospital, focus on repairing his mental health. Now, it's clear that the actor won't stay canceled forever, but I do wish his recovery well, and I do hope things turn around fast for him because he definitely didn't deserve any of this. Number 5. Armie Hammer. So just when Armie Hammer was at the top of his career, no one would have thought his world would all come crumbling down after it was revealed that he was sending some pretty concerning messages to women. Since Armie has been the subject of intense scrutiny over the messages that claimed he had an outrageous fetish began spreading in January of 2021. It was clear that the star just wasn't in the right mind, we would all hope, because just days after the controversy had begun to unfold online, well, in the beginning, everyone thought the claims couldn't be true. But then when Armie stepped down from a role in Shotgun Wedding, we all started to realize that there actually could be some truth to the story. While the actor and his team continually denied the allegations that were being brought against him, it really makes you wonder what could be going through someone's mind that would make them tell potential partners that they wanted to eat them. Number 4. DaBaby. DaBaby is a Grammy-nominated artist who found himself being canceled after he made some outrageous remarks at Miami's Rolling Loud Festival back in 2021. While the star was on stage for his performance, out of nowhere, he began to call out members who are a part of the LGBTQ community. And here, he would continue to use crude language when he addressed them, all while he was spreading misinformation about medical issues. With artists such as Madonna, Questlove, and Elton John denouncing DaBaby's remarks after his concert, the whole world started to shut the door on the rapper as his performances started to be canceled all over the world. While DaBaby was trying to retract his comments just days later with an apology, he just caused so much pain and hurt to the point he won't be able to bounce back from this one anytime soon. Number 3. Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller was on their way to become a well-known Hollywood name. And while in the beginning we all praised them for being an activist who stood up for victims of gender-based violence in indigenous communities, by 2020, Ezra started to usher in a new kind of Ezra. And this Ezra showed us they were hiding their true colors from us for years. After Ezra was caught on a video getting into an altercation with a fan at an Iceland bar, it would soon be rumored that they were also leading a cult and making unwanted advances on younger people. While the star did come out to say they were sorry for their past behavior and anyone they may have upset with it, they continued to spiral out of control to the point it was clear the apology was fake and that there was something really concerning going on. While Ezra would later come out to say that their mental health was behind their bad behavior, I don't think any of us believe that. It's just really weird that DC Studios still is supporting The Flash and Ezra with it. As if it was any other film star, their career would have faded away from Hollywood so fast that it makes you wonder if they have something going on that's allowing them to stay in the spotlight, when it's clear that being in the spotlight is actually causing them more harm because it's causing them to spiral more out of control. Number 2, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan has had a pretty troubling past from substance abuse to mental breakdowns. This girl has single-handedly kept gossip sites alive, as at one point, all we ever saw was her name smeared across the headlines for everything she was doing. While the actress has been sent to 5 rehab facilities for a total of 250 days since January 2007, she has also had to appear in court 20 times before 4 judges who have found her in violation of her probation 4 times, and they have even sentenced her to 6 months in jail. While it is worth noting that she did spend less than 2 weeks behind bars in her 6 trips to the Los Angeles County Jail, Lindsay was confined to her home for at least 35 days each time they let her out early. While the star started to spiral out of control due to her outrageous partying, by 2014, the Mean Girls star would finally ruin her reputation in Hollywood, which would cause her career to come to a halt for a bit of time. While the star continued to party for years to come, lately it seems like she's back on track and she's doing well as she just signed a Netflix deal, and we haven't seen her do anything out of the ordinary, and it's great to see her back on track, and I can't wait to see what she does next. And coming in at number 1 today, we have James Corden. Back in October, James Corden would be put on blast by Keith McNally after James decided to cause chaos in his restaurant. On Instagram, Keith would even claim that James has been one of the most abusive customers he has ever had to face in his restaurant in the last 25 years. What started off as a date night soon turned into a disaster after James lost his mind over his wife's wrong order. After James complained about a number of issues that were wrong with the meal, instead of doing what a normal human being would do, he took things too far, and he began to scream at staff members, "You can't do your job." James then lost his mind even more and started yelling at the server like a crazy person when he said, "You can't do your job, you can't do your job, maybe I should go back into the kitchen and cook the omelet myself." And the worst part is, this isn't the first time James has acted pretty odd in public, as he actually has a long list of bizarre things that he's done, which proves he's either completely bonkers or he just let fame get to his head, or it could be both. Starting off our list today at number 10, we have Rihanna. 2023 was the most watched Super Bowl broadcasted in the United States thanks to Rihanna. Like, really, at the end of the day, Rihanna's concert was interrupted by a football game, which was weird. What was honestly a truly outstanding performance by a woman who is pregnant with her second child would soon be met with controversy, as millions of viewers have dived into a debate to label her performance as one of the worst Super Bowl performances of our time, because she didn't sing songs people wanted her to sing, she didn't do a big flashy show, and now people are even accusing the star of lip syncing. However, to shut all you haters down, Rihanna hasn't performed solo and live since 2016, and despite this, she didn't miss a beat as she cycled through some of her biggest hits. Not to mention, when she announced she was pregnant while holding her belly during the show, she made a powerful statement for women all around the world, and it's impressive. Number 9, the Black Eyed Peas. Out of all the performances to happen at the Super Bowl, the Black Eyed Peas had to have one of the worst performances of all time. If you tuned to watch their performance back in 2011, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, because there was nothing cool or magical about their set. The only thing that was actually really interesting about their performance was their light up robot suits, duh. The worst part about their performance though had to be their version of "I've Had the Time of My Life." Not only was their entire show uninspiring and boring, they sang so badly, lovelessly, and they secured themselves extra negative points when Fergie butchered "Sweet Child of Mine" with Slash. Not to mention, they sounded offbeat and they all looked like they really didn't want to be there. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming number 8, we have Phil Collins. For the Millennium Celebration in 2000, there was a really big Disney production, and it was pretty reminiscent of an amusement park mixed with an orchestra and a circus. But that's what happens when you book 5 big celebrities of different genres to perform the same halftime show. Admittedly, it was such a bizarre spectacle with Disney written all over it. Not only did the artist's performance come off as undeniably cheesy, it also wasn't executed well. Not to mention, with none of the songs really mashing well together, when Phil Collins came up to the stage to perform, he legit wore sweatpants and a hat, which kinda gave off the impression that he didn't want to be there, and he knew mixing 5 artists together was such a bad idea that he just opted to not even try, which is not the point of the Super Bowl, as if you get invited to perform, you need to make a big impression, and that's just not what we got with anybody's performance, especially Phil's love theme from Tarzan. Number 7, The Who. The Who took over the halftime show in February of 2010. The pioneers and all-time heroes of stadium rock at the time had been around for 46 years since the band was founded. Unfortunately, the spectators and listeners at the Super Bowl in Miami that year quickly realized that the rock veterans Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey, unlike Stones and Paul McCartney, had long since left the musical league. And because of this, the sound was lousy and the music and vocals were not at least very well synchronized. They just didn't understand the high visibility, high stakes, and nature of the gig, and they just kept fumbling a medley of classics. Not to mention those suspicious crowds singing along audio cues that sounded as believable as a Seinfeld laugh track. Number 6, New Kids on the Block. While boy bands were all the rage in the 1990s, that doesn't mean that they were exactly exactly perfect to perform at a Super Bowl halftime show. When New Kids on the Block hit the Super Bowl stage in 1991, this is where people started to state that they could put on a better show than half of the people who were asked to perform at the halftime show. But don't blame New Kids on the Block, who didn't really get to sing any of their perkier tunes, as they got stuck doing the sappiest hit of their one hit, called One for the Children, which got shifted into this Disney kiddie choir. The performance definitely didn't pay off at the time as well as they thought it would, because everything going on in the world at the time, no one really wanted to hear "It's a small world after all." And it's not exactly what you would want to hear when you are right in the middle of a back and forth battle between the Bills and the Giants. Coming number 5, we have Stevie Wonder. In 1999, Stevie rolled out a few tried and true classics in Miami, and he graciously even tried to give local goddess Gloria Estefan a long-deserved do-over shot at a Super Bowl redemption. But he probably would have been better just taking the stage himself. For the finale, Stevie ended up donning a jacket with African down one sleeve and American down another sleeve, which was a strong statement, but then Gloria turned the beat around to give her Miami fans a salsa percussion, and it would prove that there was a reason why the Super Bowl never asked her to come back and redeem herself at a halftime show to begin with. Not to mention, there would then be a cameo from the then hot swing revivalist Big Bad Voodoo Daddy that would remind us all and future historians that the 90s was actually a really weird time to be alive. Coming at number 4 today, we have Gloria Estefan. In 1992, the Super Bowl definitely became a winter magic pageant, because this time it was in Minnesota. While the show was filled with giant snowmen and figure skaters from the Olympic team, it also featured Gloria Estefan, because obviously at the time when you thought of the Great White North, you would naturally think of Gloria and her sound machine. But as users clicked in to watch the show, they would only find themselves slowly turning away from the show, as it was a truly cringe-worthy show of people dancing while waving hockey sticks to Queen's "Don't Stop Me Now." All in all, it was just a really weird vibe for the Super Bowl in general, and it became one of those moments that made us all just want to erase the moment from our memories altogether. Plus, who mixes figure skating and football in the first place? Number 3, Shania Twain. Shania Twain's performance in the Super Bowl in 2003 with Sting, and no doubt, definitely didn't impress me much. And it became one of those moments we even forgot Shania Twain actually showed up for, because her performance was just sad and she butchered it. You know, the star was bombing her chance to show the whole world that she was a legend in country music when the camera had to do a close-up of the guitar guy, not focus in on her while she was creating a mess of the show. Eventually, Sting and Gwen Stefani came along to rescue the show, and it took them a while to fix it, but Gwen was such a natural for the role that when she was able to win over the crowd, it would become strange that they never asked her to come back and do it again. However, it's a good thing they made Shania go first, because as she closed out the show, that probably would have been one of the worst halftime shows to ever hit the stage. Well, I mean, it kind of already was. Number 2, Katy Perry. We all expected a lot to come from Katy Perry's halftime show, but I'm pretty sure we can all agree that we didn't really know what we should expect to come from it. One thing is for certain, after it was all over, we all didn't really know how to comprehend what exactly all went down and what we just witnessed, as Katy's show was loud, weird, and specifically tailored to the internet's tendency to latch on to viral moments and turn them into memes. That's exactly what her performance became. It was one giant meme as she performed on a lion statue wearing this really weird flame outfit, but in terms of the actual musical performances, Katy's performance was meh, and the real star of the night actually became Missy Elliott, who strutted out in a surprise appearance and blew the crowd away. She didn't just even steal the spotlight, she commandeered it. And coming in number 1 today, we have Shakira. After Shakira teamed up with J-Lo to do the halftime show in 2020, the FCC would receive over 1,000 complaints from viewers who had something to say about their performance, as the singers felt like it was appropriate to dance on poles, twerk, and belly dance and make suggestive gestures, with most of the complaints coming from parents who felt like their children were exposed to X-rated content. Other adults thought that their show encouraged people to work in the wrong careers, and some people were just generally upset that there was no public warnings given before the show about how suggestive their performances would be. One viewer would even point out that the pair's show was less of a musical act and it turned more into an X-rated performance. While the general performance was amazing, amazing musically. I can see why people were so upset over the matter, as when Janet Jackson did a similar performance, she would find herself being shunned, while these two ladies found themselves being praised for their risky behavior.